Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 2, Book 23, number 440. Narrated by Ibn Shihab. The funeral prayer should be offered for every child even if he were the son of a prostitute, as he was born with a true faith of Islam, i.e. to worship none but Allah alone. If his parents are Muslims, particularly the father, even if his mother were a non-Muslim. And if he after the delivery cries, even once, before his death, i.e. born alive, then the funeral prayer must be offered. And if the child does not cry after his delivery, i.e. born dead, then his funeral prayer should not be offered, and he will be considered as a miscarriage. Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet said, "Every child is born with a true faith, i.e. to worship none but Allah alone, but his parents convert him to Judaism or to Christianity or to Magonism, as an animal delivers a perfect baby animal. Do you find it mutilated?" Then Abu Hurairah recited the holy verses, "The pure Allah's Islamic nature, true faith, i.e. to worship none but Allah alone, with which he has created human beings." 30.30. Volume 2, Book 23, number 441. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, "Every child is born with a true faith of Islam, i.e. to worship none but Allah alone, but his parents convert him to Judaism, Christianity or Magonism, as an animal delivers a perfect baby animal. Do you find it mutilated?" Then Abu Hurairah recited the holy verses, "The pure Allah's Islamic nature, true faith of Islam, i.e. worshipping none but Allah, with which he has created human beings. No change let there be in the religion of Allah, i.e. joining none in worship with Allah. That is the straight religion, Islam, but most of men know not." 30.30. Volume 2, Book 23, number 442. Narrated by Said bin al-Musayyab from his father. When the time of the death of Abu Talib approached, Allah's Apostle went to him and found Abu Jahl bin Hisham and Abdullah bin Abi Umayyah bin al-Mughira by his side. Allah's Apostle said to Abu Talib, "O uncle, say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. A sentence with which I shall be a witness, i.e. argue, for you before Allah." Abu Jahl and Abdullah bin Abi Umayyah said, "O Abu Talib, are you going to denounce the religion of Abdul Muttalib?" Allah's Apostle kept on inviting Abu Talib to say it, i.e., none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. While they, Abu Jahl and Abdullah, kept on repeating their statement till Abu Talib said as his last statement that he was on the religion of Abdul Muttalib and refused to say, "None has the right to be worshipped but Allah." Then Allah's Apostle said, "I will keep on asking Allah's forgiveness for you unless I am forbidden, by Allah, to do so." So Allah revealed the verse concerning him, i.e. it is not fitting for the Prophet and those who believe that they should invoke Allah for forgiveness for pagans, even though they be of kin, after it has become clear to them that they are companions of the fire. 9.113. Volume 2, Book 23, number 443. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet once passed by two graves, and those two persons, in the graves, were being tortured. He said, "They are being tortured not for a great thing, to avoid. One of them never saved himself from being soiled with his urine, while the other was going about with calumnies, to make enmity between friends. He then took a green leaf of a date palm tree, split it into two pieces and fixed one on each grave. The people said, 'O Allah's Apostle, why have you done so?' He replied, 'I hope that their punishment may be lessened till they, the leaf, become dry.'" Volume 2, Book 23, number 444. Narrated by Ali. We were accompanying a funeral procession in Baqi-i-Gharqad. The Prophet came to us and we sat around him. He had a small stick in his hand, then he bent his head and started scraping the ground with it. He then said, "There is none among you, and not a created soul, but has place either in paradise or in hell assigned for him, and it is also determined for him whether he will be among the blessed or wretched." A man said, "O Allah's Apostle, should we not depend on what has been written for us and leave the deeds, as whoever amongst us is blessed will do the deeds of a blessed person, and whoever amongst us will be wretched will do the deeds of a wretched person?" The Prophet said, "The good deeds are made easy for the blessed, and bad deeds are made easy for the wretched." Then he recited the verses, "As for him who gives in charity, and is Allah-fearing and believes in the best reward from Allah." 92.5-6. Volume 2, Book 23, number 445. Narrated by Thabit bin ad-Dahik. The Prophet, P.B. U.H., said, "Whoever intentionally swears falsely by a religion other than Islam, then he is what he has said, e.g. if he says, 'If such thing is not true, then I am a Jew,' he is really a Jew. And whoever commits suicide with piece of iron will be punished with the same piece of iron in the hell fire." Narrated Jundub, the Prophet said, "A man was inflicted with wounds and he committed suicide, and so Allah said, 'My slave has caused death on himself hurriedly, so I forbid paradise for him.'" Volume 2, Book 23, number 446. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "He who commits suicide by throttling shall keep on throttling himself in the hell fire forever, and he who commits suicide by stabbing himself shall keep on stabbing himself in the hell fire." Volume 2, Book 23, number 447. Narrated by Umar bin al-Khattab. When Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul died, Allah's Apostle, P.B. U.H., was called upon to offer his funeral prayer. When Allah's Apostle stood up to offer the prayer, I got up quickly and said, "O Allah's Apostle, are you going to pray for Ibn Ubay?" And he said, "Sir," and so on such and such occasions, and started mentioning all that he had said. Allah's Apostle smiled and said, "O Umar, go away from me. When I talk too much," he said, "I have been given the choice, and so I have chosen to offer the prayer. Had I known that he would be forgiven by asking for Allah's forgiveness for more than 70 times, surely I would have done so." Umar added, Allah's Apostle offered his funeral prayer and returned, and after a short while the 2 verses of Surah Bara were revealed, i.e., "And never, O Muhammad, pray for any of them who dies," to the end of the verse, Rebellion 9.84. Umar added, "Later I astonished at my daring before Allah's Apostle on that day. And Allah and his Apostle know better."